Right, hello. Hopefully the signal here holds. There's quite a few more people than usual, and that seems to affect it sometimes. Either way, you could take a guess where I am, maybe. But yeah, I'm going to go somewhere within the walls that I haven't been with you all previously. So if I can fight through the hordes is the correct term, like it's heaving with people. Actually, we're going to get through these. Oops. Yeah, I'll take you up where I planned in a little bit, because it is ever so warm, and I see that there's shade over there, so I'm going to have a sit down first and give you some background info, which is endless, to be fair. With 1,000 years of history almost, I shan't run out of trivia. It's just me knowing it to start with, I guess. This is the queue. Let me show you the queue for the Tower of London. Sorry, it's very hot. For the Crown Jewels. So that's one of those snaky lines. You know, you go back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, and it's going all the way down to where I started the stream and past that. I mean, yes, they are sparkly. Yes, they are massive diamonds, etc. But I don't know about that queue. To be fair, when I've been in, there's been no queue. It's just because England's decided it's summer, at least for a couple of days. Yeah, so just everywhere. It's not that I don't like people. Obviously, I love them, but I love them when they're a little bit further away than they are currently. So there's just loads and loads. I'm wondering if I've taken you in Beauchamp Tower before. No, I took photographs, so maybe we'll go in there. That was an actual prison. I'll show you the exterior of it. It's 13th century, so 1200 and such. The graffiti, the etchings are just like, it's very poignant. It's a one-room prison in essence, and like, I'm not sure if there must have been multiple people at you know, in the same instance at times, but there are more than 100 like etchings, including names, Bible verses, 2 Italian ones that are just moaning, not joking. Everyone else is Bibling it up, and they're just like, oh, or I don't know how to say oh in Italian. Hey, or something like that. Anyway, the point being that, so that's the exterior. Let me pan around because I can't see the buttons properly. Now I can't see what you can see, but that towery thing there. And like most poignantly, maybe, I don't know about most, but some of the etchings are the only extant records of these people's imprisonment. Like, they were that unimportant, or, you know, like if they hadn't carved the name, nobody would know. So I'm walking up. Yeah, there's just too many people. It's awful, isn't it? I'm going to just stroll casually up here. That's the White Tower behind me. You're all bored of that. I know, you've seen that 100 times. There's a Gurkha on duty today outside. I want to call it Queen's House, but it's now King's House. But not sure how I don't know if you'll see him. He's very still. He's not really blending in with the red stripes on the trousers, but I think that's dress uniform as opposed to combat. But there is a yeoman at the top, depending on how well I know them. Maybe I'll have a chat with them. Let's get into the shade is the whole point of this exercise. Yeah, so the graffiti in Beauchamp Tower, some of it's so lovely. Some of it, they weren't stonemasons. They were, no, I don't know the man from Adam. And yet, like, if you saw some of the carvings on oh, he's moving, the soldier. Let me show you. Let me flip you around. Hold up. That one. Yeah, that's it. So I don't know if you can see him. You see him walking along there? Not the tourists. Let's get up to them. He's just by himself, marching up and down. Might have cramp. Don't know. I'm going to come and say hello to I see your icons, but I can't read the writing. They test their shoes in a minute usually. Big stomp on the floor. Or ground, as it... That's... Oh no, he's doing a silent one. I guess his superiors can't tell whether he's stamping or not from a distance. One fun fact about the Gurkhas, or at least the ones at the tower, certainly, their English is, you know, no judgment, it is not the best, but all of their superior officers, none of them speak, is it Nepalese? I may have made that up. Malaysian. Oh, I'm so sorry to anyone who actually knows the... I did know the answer, but my brain's fried. But yeah, he's walking up and down, so I mean, maybe we should, you know. So this there, that's the residence of Sir Walter Raleigh and his wife Bess when he was in residence as a prisoner, 13 years, if you're not too shy. That was a long old stretch. But I mean, if you were wealthy, it wasn't as dire as any prison in England in those times. You could take your servants, you could have nice food sent in, you know, like you had a bit of leeway. Whereas if you were, for example, in a debtor's prison and still in debt, you would accrue additional debt being in there because you had to buy your own food, etc. So, beach and tower, it's my legs, people. I've already been in here a couple of hours. I just said goodbye to my friends that I brought with me. Let's show you. Oh, I see a spot between tourists. Let's just. We already looked at this last time, but still. Oh, she's not happy about it all. Yeah, let's have a look at this, and then I can see who's who because I can put my specs on. Hold on. I still can't see because of the background darkness I need. Oh, Istvansky. No, I'm in the Tower of London. Sorry, I should have said that. I thought everyone was so bored of it probably that you already knew. Yeah, this is the Tower of London in London. I know, crazy. Yeah, they... It's not always Gurkhas on guard here. There are two always outside the Jewel House, or as it is now. In the Jewel House, fun fact, I don't know if you can see the clock behind me poking out of the two taller turrets. And I also don't know if you've heard of the Cray twins, who were gangsters in the East End of London and the rest of London. And they went international at some point. Either way, they were... notorious gangsters in the East End, and they were I think they were the last prisoners here, and they were imprisoned either, so they had a room either side of the clock, twin rooms. But yeah, so who else is here? Servant of Yeshua, that's a good name. Al Pfizer. Oh, John, what's your babes? You right? Oh, and is that Pentecost at the top? I can't read the... Oh, I hope it is. I mean, I'm not because... Just because I don't want to get it right. I can't see it at all. How annoying. No, I can't see it. Your name's disappeared anyway. So, I was about to show you the, like, art memorial installation thingy. So I'm going to flip you around. Sorry about the vertigo. Alright, or the whatever, the nauseous feeling. Let's get round to the beginning of the... There's like a poem around there. So, if I don't end up having to walk across people, I'll read it for you anyway. Gentle visitor, pause a while. Okay, I will do. Where you stand, death cut away the light of many days. Here, jewelled names were broken from the vivid thread of life. May they rest in peace while we walk the generations around their strife and courage under these restless skies. So the generations they're discussing, hi Derek, I'll show you the ravens in a minute. The generations are only from the 19th century because Queen Victoria is responsible for this spot being commemorated. The people here, so I know for certain 3 queens are commemorated here. 3 Highland rebels who were all cousins, I learned today. They were shot. They weren't beheaded. So, just another factoid. Beheading was considered a noble form of execution, like so reserved for important people. And that, I mean, that's a bit odd. Only in as much as, sorry, there's a pillow there, like obviously evocative of a head. No bed though, because the body's already done there. So beheading was considered noble, and people would tip the axeman in order for a clean, a quick departure. The majority of executions for the bodies, definitely, there are 1,700 bodies beneath the Chapel Royal there. The vast majority of executions were carried out or executed even outside of the tower, very close but outside. Of the ones inside, they were usually notable. There was a spy, a German spy. I feel like that's potentially the last guy. He'd broken his ankle parachuting in. He was a novice, like it was his first run, as it were, and his last. So they tied him to a chair as opposed to making him stand there, which is sort of kind. So most of the executions took place outside of the walls, within visual distance if that church wasn't there. However, the axemen, as I said, were... Okay, so once they were paid their tip... I mean, all right, for Anne Boleyn, is it Anne Boleyn? Yes, I'm confident that Henry sent out to France for a very competent swordsman with a sharp sword. Obviously, that counts. But the general riffraff, hoi polloi, unimportant people, were the ones that merited beheading. There's one story. It's a shame I can't think of the man, the executioner, or the man who was executed. But so he gave him his tip. At which point he had another drink, a strong alcoholic drink, because this guy was a part-time butcher, which I guess is like quite good for the trade, for the execution staff. Part-time butcher, part-time axeman, but full-time alcoholic, unfortunately. And so what eventually happened, after in excess of, I think, 6 blows, in which he didn't manage to sever the head or even get through all the bone and sinew, he took out his butcher's knife and he manually basically sliced the head off. I think he may have stabbed him in the heart first, or I may be getting mixed up with my executions, which happens. But it wasn't. It seems like if if you had to choose, it seems like quite a quick one, but only on the basis of the skill of the person wielding the axe or sword. Right, so I happen to have found myself next to a water fountain, and I may just have a little drop of water. But this was erected on the orders of, I'm guessing, George V, and that was in 1913. And I don't know if it's mirrored, but so that's what I'm looking at, and it's also the same on the other side. So you've got the crown, GR for George Rex, and the V is the Roman numeral for 5. Obviously, I guess. Water, that's the point. Oh no, that's... Sorry, George, I'm not denigrating your water fountain here, mate, but I can't bend down that far. No. Apparently water is a scarcity. There's another water fountain. I've got a bottle of water in my bag. Peasant I am. Right, Beecham Tower. Right, let me flip you around, as it were. So that's the whole thing. Like 2 turrets, big window, teensy door. It is 1200 and I think 1280s. It's going to tell me in a minute when my eyesight gets better. Above the door there, you see the arrow, those little crosses in the walls. Those 2 are defensive. Those are windows with that you can shoot people if you're an archer, because this tower faced, outwardly was defensive for London, let alone the tower, because London... Right, so that white tower behind me, the original tower, was built on, not on top of, but along the original London Wall, because London was a very small place in those days. There was even less space once they built that massive thing. That was that was the Norman invaders, so William I, the Conqueror, who was a Norman. He, in 1066, the Battle of Hastings, when he was victorious, within 12 years this had been completed, and it was the sole tower at the time, and it was in essence an FU people, like an intimidatory. It was a palace, like a working, like a habitation for royalty. But yeah, it was to intimidate and to I don't know, just be like awe-inspiring, I guess. That's the uniform of the yeomanry. And I can tell you, whilst I'm waiting to suck myself up for the stairs and the people, yeoman means free man, as in freeman. So that's it. They were free people, but employed as royal guards initially. Sorry, I'm just looking who came out of King's House. It's definitely not the dude, the one who replaced the Queen, because I still can't get used to calling him that. I will go in there, I promise. It's just packed with people. Did you hear that? The yeoman shouted out, "Executions!" Everyone cheered. Oh gosh. Yeah, I have filmed in there, which I later found out I wasn't supposed to, but that's the Chapel Royal. As I said, 1,700 bodies beneath. I mean, they were disinterred, not all in one go. But yeah, Anne Boleyn is certainly beneath, like in the crypt. Must be a big crypt though. Unless they're just bones. The thing is, officially, there were only like a handful of executions here. Or not officially, so if you were like traitorous and menial, like a nobody, or somebody who only gained notoriety through your crime, what's the word, I don't know, the way of things was that you didn't get a marked grave. I mean, there was one of the warders here, when it was a working prison, I'm talking like I may be incorrect, but I'd say like 14th century, something like that. No, 15th century, 1400s. There were a couple in here. They weren't man and wife, but they posed as man and wife when they were committing their crimes. So they both came in. The man was later not acquitted, but there was a lack of evidence, which is still a verdict in Scottish courts. So not enough evidence, which doesn't say you're innocent, but it says there's not enough evidence to convict. So he was released. She remained, and the warder, had fallen in love with her by that time. I think probably at her, I feel like maybe she was using him. I know, crazy, right? So either way, he helped her escape, as one does. It wasn't that difficult. He left her a stick, and she put her hand under the cell door and poked out the little wooden peg that was holding it together. Although, to be fair, you can have lax security inside if the walls are, 9 metres thick. Either way, she escaped. They all got away until they didn't. They were really quickly recaptured on the same night because they were waiting for a moonless night for the shadow it afforded. He was racked, meaning stretched out, like until his limbs became disjointed, popped. Like agonising, and he wasn't. Usually the rack was used to extort even confessions, but he was caught bang to rights, as we call it in London. He was like red-handed, so they just tortured him like for fun, and the lady and the man, they escaped that because the man was eventually recaptured, because once it became clear, blah blah blah. And they were, so I feel like I've been there with you all before, so let me see. Right, if you see where all the people are standing on the walkway between those two towers, outside of that is another walkway and another wall, fortress, But at one point, and that's called River Walk, that wasn't paved, that was water. And at that time, when it was water, they were both chained to the walls at low tide, and then slowly drowned. Well, slowly became wetter and wetter, more immersed in the water until they were drowned. But the spot is not commemorated. So, Cherokee! What's that, babes? So that was that poor idiot. That's what he got for falling in love. So that's that story out of the way. What else do I know about not going in with sweaty people? It is lovely and cool inside because it's stone. I know where I want to go. I'm going to take you where I was originally wanting to go. Oh no, I want... All right. So I will be back. It's not like the last time I'm ever going to stream here. Let me just read you a little informational. 10 prisoners were executed here on Tower Green. Here. 7 were beheaded. And of those, 3 of them were queens. That was Catherine Howard, Anne Boleyn, and Lady Jane Grey, who was... it says she was 16 somewhere, but I always was taught she was 15. Maybe that was when she had the throne for 9 days. So 3 of those 7 beheadings were the 3 queens. And in 1743, which is a lot later, the 3 rebel soldiers were killed, and they were cousins. That's a picture, actually, of their execution. That's Catherine Howard. She looks quite bemused. I feel like that's a vibe with queens. This here is the beheading of rebel lords on Great Tower Hill, which, as I said, so you see there's the tower. I don't know about the perspective of where my hand's pointing. Where the shadow is of my finger, that's the tower where we are. We're actually like there. And then, whoop, which is where now the train station, the tube station is. That's where the majority of beheadings and executions took place. You learn something every day, don't you? Isn't it grand? Right. Let's just casually stroll because I am sweating. I should grab the next tour, like the tour of the guy, the yeoman, and film it, but I've got something against, like, compelled fun. You know, that kind of like, hey guys, let's have like, it's not really me. I mean, I have enough fun as I go along this crazy journey we call life. But yeah, I'm not one for those like group activities and team building exercises. I don't know, like it just seems cheesy to me. I was going to say American. No offence, Cherokee. There's another soldier. Got a nice little bit of bling on him. Hang on, let me just this. Did it work? This is live, so don't swear. But yeah, oh, thank you. Did it work? You still never tried after all that? There's no place in some. Are you fit? Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Thank you very much.
Do you want to go for a pint?
I do, but I'm just live streaming in a minute. But I shall be finished shortly. Wait. Well, no. I just think. Look how many people are. They chuck everyone out about 5. What time have you got a clock? Oh, I have, but I've got to press the... Hang on a second.
10 to 4.
Got an hour?
I'm not going there. It's too much.
No, do you know what? It's sparkly in that, but the lights are off.
I've been in it before.
Yeah. I've been in a couple of times, but I've never seen a queue like that. It's the weather, I reckon. Or just, I don't know if there's a special on tourists today.
I've been all around the wall here. I was in there.
That's what I'm about to do. I'm going to go along that part of behind the jewel house. So there's a tower devoted to the zoo that used 400 years. This was like a menage, like animals and all that jazz. So I'm going to do that. Have you been in the church?
Where's the church?
Right there, Chapel Royal. There's 1,700 bodies under there. Not that they show them. Yeah. Anne Boleyn's under there.
What? Is she?
Because when they were not queen at the time, you know, like when they ain't the last one, they don't get the Westminster. Do you know what I mean? They just get shoved anywhere. So yeah, there's definitely is 1,700 or 15. Yeah, they dug them up around and about the place and then shoved them all in there. There's a little door, but it's worth having a look. They might try and tell you, oh, it ain't a hat. They'll try and say take your hat off, but you tell them it ain't an hat and you'll be fine. All right, I'll catch up with you. Kay? Yeah. All right, I'll see you in a bit. I gave that... Well, no, actually, if I tell you, it won't be a good deed. So yeah, I don't know him other than today, but he seems very genial. And he just gave me his audio tour thing, which obviously I'm not going to do with your. Yeah, he's trying to pay me back for the thing I did for him. Keeps trying to get me to have a drink, which is, you know me, I don't drink. Right, let's. Oh mate, wait till they. There is a lot of jewels, don't get me wrong. It's very pretty and stuff. But look at the queue, right? So there's that snaky one, and then it's just all the way down. We went in there the other day, if you remember, everybody. That's the Fusilier Museum. Apparently there are upper floors that are accessible, but I feel like maybe they saw me coming and said, quick, shut the doors or something. I didn't notice, to be fair. So, this is that aspect, that wall runs parallel with Tower Bridge, which goes across the Thames. So that side there is where the beheadings and all of that stuff are. I'll be able to show you the spot actually when I get up these stairs. So, if I go up, yeah, come on then, pigs. Right. Oh, in fact, I should put this audio stuff in my bag, but I can't be. Right. So there's an art installation, like in homage or whatever, of the menagerie. So these are, I don't know, baboons, are they? Gibbons, baboons. And then there's one up there keeping watch, as it were. I don't know who he's looking for. Probably the geezer with the dinner. The elephant over there, he's got some scaffolding around in the artwork, but again, I've got to tell you, because it's still shocking me every time I think of it, they fed it, or they watered it, as it were, with a gallon of red wine a day, which I think I'd have an admirable go at it, but he sadly died, like before his time, as it were. It says the crown jewels were displayed here. You mean here? Oh, in Martin Tower, from the 1660s until 1868. Colonel Blood, I don't know if that rings a bell. It says he tried to steal them in 1671. He had them in his hands. Let's not muck about it. He knocked out the jewel house keeper, but was caught before he got outside of the walls. But interestingly enough, and it doesn't say so on there because I don't know why, they're trying not to encourage people, I guess. But after he did that, so he had his hands. Sorry, I've got to scratch my face. Hands literally on the jewels, as it were, and wasn't executed. Like the king visited him in his cell, and by the time the king left, he'd been given a pension, and was swanning about, you know, like he strangely was like rewarded. I don't know whether he was some sort of security consultant after that or whatever, but yeah, it didn't go the way that I thought it would have. He was like famous for being a con man, and in fact, when he did die, I think he was executed eventually. But either way, people didn't believe it. So there was a lot of, I don't know, double checking. They were doing a Joe Rogan, they were fact checking. Right. Oh, stairs. Oh, there's another entry sign right in front of me. Oh no, I'm not. Sorry. No, I'm covering it. So I'm walking backwards, is that still no entry? Right. Fortunately, I don't speak English. I know I'm not supposed to have done that. Oh, right. See, this, unlike the Beecham Tower, there's no translation or thingy of the graffiti here. But if you see that, I don't know what I mean, I know you can see the reflection. So from what I can make out, the guy's name is Wood. Stephen Wood. Can't make out the rest of it. It's sort of a coat of arms, I guess. Well, it is a coat of arms, but I just don't know, probably for Stephen Wood and his family. Right. So this display is all concerning the yeomen, who are the warders. So I shall take you around as if you're with me. I'm going to read you the things in a moment. So it says, get out the way of the heat. It says that the warders have guarded the Tower of London for more than 500 years. So, 500 years, yeah, that brings them to the end of the High Medieval period, is when they began. They trace their origins to 1485, which is actually technically High Medieval, when Henry VII, who was the father of, Henry VIII, founded the Yeomen of the Guard, an elite bodyguard to protect the king. His son Henry VIII, told her, appointed several yeomen to serve at the Tower of London, where they were paid. How much do you reckon they were paid in them days? 6 pence a day. These men were often known as the yeomen at the Tower. Yeoman warders have welcomed paying visitors, no way, to the Tower since the 1500s. In the late 1600s, the Tower was established as a museum and visitor attraction. Late 1600s, yeah, so that ties in with the animals nicely. Over the following centuries, the yeoman warders became an important part of the visitor experience at the Tower. They are lovely. They continue to play a significant role in royal and state ceremonial occasions and are symbols of our national heritage. Well said. And they've got weirdo uniforms, like very archaic, dated uniforms. So, that's a little picky of what I'm about to read. In 1826, which was prior to Victoria. Who was there before Victoria? Let's get on with it. No, I don't know. In 1826, Arthur Wellesley. So the references to him are dotted around the Tower. He was the first Duke of Wellington. He's the famous Duke of Wellington. He became Constable of the Tower, which is a job that's still viral today. I think I've met the Constable, I know him. He thought that the yeoman warders were giving the Tower a bad name and began to reform their behaviour. And that's saying something in them days. Wellington declared that yeoman orders would only be recruited from ex-servicemen with long service and good records of conduct. He also reduced their number from about 100 to 33. Wellington's reforms are still in force today, so they have to do 22 years, I think, minimum service militarily, and they have to have a perfect service record. It goes on to tell me what I've just said. Each of them has reached the rank of warrant officer during their service and been awarded long service and good conduct medals. Yeoman warders are now recruited from all three branches of the armed forces, the Royal Navy, including the Marines. The current Constable is a former Marine, I do know that. The British Army and the Royal Air Force. So let's keep going. It's a nice breeze here. Right, these are replica medals of Y.W. Lawrence Watts, who was a yeoman warder. That's the breastplate, and that's me, if you can see the reflection. That's the dress uniform, if you can believe it, because their usual uniform is just as fancy. And that's the guy whose medals are replicated. 23 years in the Royal Corps of Signals. Oh, it's a quote from him. He says it's an honour, and he's very proud of the traditions associated with the Tower. Okey-dokey. Sorry. This is another yeoman, I'm guessing a retired. Was this me? The day went by in a bit of a blur. 1 minute I was standing on Tower Green in my suit. The next I was drinking the toast, "May you never die a yeoman warder." So that was yeoman warder Terry Basher Briggs. That's his tankard, a replica. I don't know if they think people are going to nick it. They're sworn in with a centuries-old ceremony where they take a special oath of royal allegiance. At the end of the ceremony, the new yeoman warder receives their own tankard, replicated over there, and drinks port from a large 18th century pewter bowl. Traditions are strange things. The chief yeoman warder toasts all new recruits with the words, "May you never die, yeoman warder." This toast likely began in the 1800s when most yeoman warders bought their positions for large sums of money. The sum would be returned to them upon their retirement. However, obviously, if they died while still working, the constable would keep the money, and that was abolished by the Duke of Wellington, who we like to call a party pooper. We don't, I just made that up. Those are Tower of London keys, and it doesn't say replicas. So that's, I think they've changed the locks though. There's a reserve lantern, and that's Chief Yeoman Warder Pete McGowan. I haven't seen him around. I don't think he's in service anymore. So it says here, let me face this way. The Yeoman Warders are the guardians of many ancient ceremonies. So the ceremony of the keys, has taken place every single night for more than 700 years. We know how to do a tradition over here, people, and that's to lock up the tower. It begins when the sentry cries out, "Halt, who comes there?" The Yeoman Warder replies, "The keys," and they're questioned, "Whose keys?" An answer, they need to change this now, but I'm not doing them. "Queen Elizabeth's keys." The sentry answers, "Past then all's well." The Yeoman Warders also escort the constable's dues, D-U-E-S. In the past, every ship that entered the City of London had to give a portion of their cargo to the constable of the Tower. That's a good wheeze. This was known as the constable's dues. When a Royal Navy vessel moors at the wharf today, its crew still present a barrel of wine, rum or brandy to the constable. What a job, mate. All you got to do is be a marine for ages. Oh, these are some very dated pictures. Oh, that's lovely. That's got to be the 30s or 20s, like just going by the headdress of the like the bridal gown. I mean, these people, I mean, life was black and white in those days. That's how long ago it was. They're from the 1900s. That's all they're telling us. Oh, that is so cute. Oh, they're playing bowls, but the dog's involved as well. That's them with, I don't know if that's port or not. Don't know who they are, sorry. Oh, like a school outing maybe, don't know. That's a pewter tankard from the circa 1800. That's a lawn bowl. Oh, they weren't playing balls. Yeah, bowls. It's very cute. Well, I like history. Tower of London has been a fortress, palace and prison. Not only that, but that's not exhaustive yet. So for almost 1,000 years. But has also been home to hundreds of yeoman warders. Yeah, they live inside the walls, which is lovely. Where the old Royal Mint used to be, within the walls. The Royal Mint now has moved twice at least, because it was also formerly, after that, outside, just on the highway over there. Literally, it's called the highway. It has provided a backdrop to everyday family life, social events and celebrations. The Tower community even has its own private pub, I was about to tell you that, called the Keys. And you can only get in by invite, which is why I'm here so often. Children are an important part of Tower life, and I'm going to tell you again about the Two Princes in a minute. It once had its own school here. The Tower's children join in with ceremonies such as the beating of the bounds. This ceremony takes place each year when children and choristers, i.e. choir members, armed with sticks, symbolically beat the boundaries of the Tower's land, known as the Tower Liberties. And there's a pub across the street called Liberty Bounds. Just a piece of trivia, because we may all make it in there if I'm 2 foot in and I don't bump into that guy again. I feel bad though. But how many times can you say like, no, I'm alright, when someone asks you for a drink, like? We shall find out, people. Stay tuned. Right, so now I'm up on the walkways along the, I'm going to get out of the way of those people behind me. Right, so that over there is St Mary's Axe. You see the like bullet-shaped top of the building. It's called the Gherkin, although it doesn't resemble a gherkin. Not my gherkins, anyway. Over there is where the executions took place. So you see the London Underground red circled signs and the black taxi there. Maybe, I don't know how good your eyesight is, or the glare and all that jazz. So that's that wall. I hope you can see it. That's jutting out. Just a wall. It says Piccadilly Whip. I'm not advertising. And then across the street there's that wall. That wall, even though those walls, where are we, of the White Tower, those ones there are like nearly 1,000 years old. That wall, parts of it is AD 200. So that's like, that's well older, or way older, even if I want to retain my English grammar. Or very much older. It's older, could be even said. That's that monkey up there. Little imp. Right, so that's the side aspect of the jewel house. You see these up here, so you see that lion, I don't know, I hope you do, or the stylized lion. I'm guessing So obviously, sorry to flip you around so quickly, obviously the drainage has been added. Some of the drainage on the outside of the White Tower is dated 1703, fun fact. Some of it's Victorian on the outside of the actual walls of the tower, the complex, as it were. Originally, I'm going to say that was a gargoyle. So again, up there, and there are like human faces and animal along. So a gargoyle, the function is like a water spout, but then there are such things as grotesques, which are very similar but don't spout water and never were intended to. So these have like become grotesques, as it were, because of modern plumbing, but they were, I'm pretty confident, they run along the guttering, so they were all gargoyles. Like, these stairs are ridiculously narrow and spiral and stone, so I just don't want to die a minute. That's it. I hope you could hear the sound effects. It's not me and it's not the tourists. So as I said, I think I said 400 years, it says 600 years they kept animals. I think maybe the 400 was when people were allowed to come in. Henry III had a polar bear. There's an art exhibit commemorating that. And it would go fishing. It had a rope that was so long it could fish in the Thames. Snakes were wrapped in blankets and kept on a stove to keep them warm, because of course a lot of them were exotic, as in warmer climate animals. James I designed a nipple, so sorry I didn't read that first, so that sick lion cubs could be bottle fed. That's so cute. Uncaged monkeys lived in a room where visitors could walk among them. It was shut down after a monkey attacked a boy. No way. An ostrich died after swallowing a large nail. Visitors had fed it the pieces of metal, believing that ostriches ate iron. That's what they told him afterwards. The royal beasts left the tower in 1832, and that's 5 years before Victoria ascended the throne, and they went to London Zoo, which was new at the time. The guy, that's a fun fact, Edwin Landseer, he's an artist who later, he designed the lion sculptures, you know, the four at the base of Nelson's Column in Trafalgar Square. He drew live lions here at the tower. And now you know. Right, let me just show you that guy up there. I'm sorry if it's mirrored. I'm sorry about, yeah, I'm not sure if it is or it isn't. If I flip the camera, I know it's definitely not mirrored. Why is it saying a pin on this machine he's given me? Oh, sugar. I don't want to enter the pin, mate. I don't know what you're talking about. Right, sorry, I'm just having an argument with a machine. Okay, let me flip you around. That's it. Right, so it says, what do you give someone who has everything? And you can read. I'm going to stop patronising you all right now. From 1210. So that was 45 years, by the way, before the elephant arrived. What a liberty. They showed, apparently, the wealth and strength of the king, even when it was a queen. Yep. That's a cast, by the way. And that's of a modern African lion skull. I don't know how modern modernity is. That's the medieval lion skull there. They found the skulls of 18 mastiffs. Oh, in the ruins of the Lion Tower. I don't know how it got ruined. This guy was called Pompey, the one in the middle. He died in 1758. He was named after the Roman general. And he's described as the finest and largest lion ever seen in England. His look strikes the stoutest beholder with astonishing awe. And there you go. And they're Barbary lions. And they were kept from the 13th century onwards. And they are North African. And they're extinct in the wild. That's terrible. That's one of the Trafalgar Square lions that Edmund Landseer, I'm so glad I remembered his name, probably got inspiration for here. It says they were the most important of the royal beasts at the tower. And they did the whole full 600 year stint. And these are the like heraldic representations of lions. The earliest British or English, I guess, representations of lions in royal crests. I feel like they're actually leopards, and if they're not, they look exactly like leopards. People couldn't really accurately reflect life in artwork always in those days. So this is a timeline. I'm just going to whiz you along. Marco Polo.
You found a grizzly bear. The first grizzly bear seen on the tower in 1811.
Can I just point you all there? We did our bit, everybody. This is an interactive thingy, but you remember what I said about enforced fun? I don't feel like I can do it. I just can't. I can, but I won't. Right, it says an elephant was... Oh, I've already told you that. That was 12:55. Yep. 12:55, Matthew Paris, who was... do you know, I know a boy with that name from my childhood. A school friend's younger brother. So strange. This one, though, was a monk in St Albans in 12:55, the year the elephant arrived. And they proceeded to make him into an alcoholic. Right, so that's a map of the world, just in case anyone isn't familiar with it. Funnily enough, everybody, I bought a map, like a world map, because I do like travelling. And I was aware that there are different models, as it were, for them. But mine is, I think it's called the Peter's perspective or something like that. And it's odd because Australia and North America are disproportionate. You can tell that it's not accurate according to the standard model. Anyway, the dog-faced baboon. It was a baboon. This is what you get for having mounds of seemingly useless information in your brain, everyone. Right, lion, lioness. You can read. Come on. 3 young lions, vulture, leopard, 2 tigers, panther, eagle, ape, porcupine, raccoon, although the spacing in that word, and a war woven. Never heard of it. Think it's probably extinct. Looks like a vulture-y type, eagle-y sort of. All right, it's something to win. Okay. They did try, it says, to keep the animals alive. But obviously they didn't have any National Geographic in those days or anything. Most died of natural causes. That is an achievement. But James I, oh, what a little tinker. He got them to fight each other. Lions, bears and dogs as entertainment for... We're going to start calling him the Barbarian. But he had a platform built so he and his court could watch the royal games. What a twat. Excuse my French. That's not French. Visitors were allowed very close to the animals, sometimes with terrible consequences. What do you expect? There were attacks by lions, snakes, wolves, leopards and monkeys. No way. Yeah, I can narrate something for you here. One victim was Mary Jenkinson in 1686. She was stroking a lion's paw, as you do. It doesn't say that bit. When it suddenly caught her arm with his claws and mouth and most miserably tore her flesh from the bone. Nice. Surgeons amputated her arm, but she died soon afterwards. Oh, so she went through that as well, the amputation. That was no joke. The last keeper, i.e. animal keeper, Mr. Cops, was almost killed by a large snake. He was saved when the other keepers broke the snake's teeth. How charming. That is the Times newspaper from... Oh, I haven't got my glasses on. 1830-something? I don't know. No. Anyway, it's old. Big magnifying glass just in case. Yeah, these noises are getting on my nerves, I've got to tell you. Because yeah. Right. At the tower, people were able to visit animals they would never see in the wild. Oh, shut up. That's the most obvious thing I've ever read. Exotic animals appear in the Bible and travellers' tales along with fictional animals such as dragons and unicorns. The unicorn, of course, is the national animal of Scotland. That's a caracal. Felix, like cat type. That's not his name. That's the Latin. That's an alligator. Got a very little head. This is a make your own thingy. No, I won't. Thanks very much. Going to see the lions and other astounding animals was a great event. The spectacular collection of animals was called the Royal Menagerie. There was no word for zoo, and we didn't even have London Zoo. That's Arthur, you know the guy I said earlier, first Duke of Wellington, Arthur Wellesley. That's two of the ravens. If you remind me later, I'll tell you their names once I dig out the thing that tells me their names. These are newspaper type clippings, recreated, of course. I can't even read that. I could maybe, but... £6 only. So for anyone who's not or pre-decimalisation of our coinage, we had £6 wasn't 6p. If that doesn't make sense. 6 old pennies, as we call them. There was a 6p coin, and that made, I think 6.5p was half a crown. Although, like, you know, I do look good for my age, but I'm not that old. So a shilling was 12p, but then it sort of became the same as a modernised 5p piece, like that. I think they were both in circulation. What am I doing here? Oh, there was a massive fire in 1841 on Halloween, 31st of October to the 1st of November. I'm just going to flip you round, sorry. So at 1:30 a.m. On the morning of the preceding night of the fire, the crown jewels were dramatically, assured, rescued, because they were threatened by the fire. People were screaming, I imagine. Oh, I feel like that's firefighters just going, come on in, chaps. I feel like I set these noises off a little bit. The news spread of the national calamity. That's proof. This room was completely destroyed by the fire, and the lower level of this tower, built in the 1200s, still survives, but this room is like an additional, obviously 19th century, because the fire was in the 1800s. So Duke of Wellington, Arthur, as his friends called him, was one of Britain's greatest military leaders. Hear, hear, etc. His most famous victory was over Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo. For 26 years he held the most senior position here, Constable. We knew that. And all of the rest of the writing is just translations of the same. The new Waterloo barracks provided accommodation for 1,000 soldiers, and today that's the building in front of me out of the window where the crown jewels are now held. That's the Waterloo barracks. You right, Jeff? I swear I saw Jeff's face a minute ago. I know it is. Right, Jeff? Right, so, that little spire, church spire, that is All Hallows by the Tower. I've taken you all in there before when it was really raining outside. That is where Samuel Pepys watched the fire of London kind of progressing. I'm not sure where he buried his wine. It's got to be somewhere local, obviously, and his cheese. But his actual parish church was just down the way there in Pepys Street, although I feel like they named it afterwards. Look. It's one of the Gurkhas having a tea break. There is residences down there. So as I told you before, the yeomen all live within the walls, but I don't feel like those are their houses, because I think their houses are the ones, or maybe there are 33 of them. So yeah, that's the building that houses the crown jewels from the back. See the gargoyles? That looks like Jesus. That's an awful thing to say, but it looks like some sort of religious icon. I don't know, a bit weird. Okay. Oh, shade. Right, so the tower in the First World War is what I'm reading. And then it tells us when it was, 1914 to 1918, in case you want to put those dates in your calendar. Okay, to summarise what I just read, during the conflict, the Great War as it was called initially, it would have been a bit pessimistic to call it the First War when you didn't know the second one was coming. The tower was still open to visitors, but also a place of training, recruitment and deployment for the military. That is probably inverse. But yeah, that's the plan of the tower still. Like it still looks the same. Let me just double check. Beauchamp Chapel. Yeah, that's a mod. That's accurate. Not that I work here, but yeah, looks like it. So it says after Britain declared war in August 1914, thousands of men rushed to enlist in the army. In the city, brave boys. In the city of London, where the stock exchange had closed, 1,600 volunteered within 6 working days. They swore the oath of allegiance in the Tower Moat, which didn't have water in it at the time, and they formed the Stockbrokers Battalion of the Royal Fusiliers. These are hats. This is a propaganda, like a recruitment rather, poster from the Imperial War Museum. This is a year after the conflict started, because of course they were all optimistic that it would all be over by Christmas, that kind of jazz. But yeah, it's basically saying stop wearing your normal hat, because everybody wore hats, and get a military one, i.e. sign up. Look, there's all the guys in their civvy hats, and they're all getting, I guess, they're new recruits, and they're in the moat, which wasn't as pretty as it is today. Look, there's a little drain in the moat. I've walked around the moat. It's not open to the public, but I did many moons ago. I did a sponsored walk to raise money for the British Heart Foundation. Okay. This is the 1600 city workers about to swear, or having sworn their oath of allegiance. Oh no, I'm telling you, yeah, it's the same picture. It's just superimposed. It says there are banker stands in the moat. Thanks, banker. Where his colleagues of yesteryear all signed up. But that is the original photo without your man in there. There have always been professional soldiers defending the fortress. The Scots Guard were stationed at the tower when war was declared, and on the 15th of September that same year, they left the tower for the front line. By October, they were fighting in the First Battle of Ypres. I've also been there, Belgium. You cannot get the mud out of your clothes if you ever go. Just throwing it out there. That's a modern Fusilier, I'm guessing, superimposed onto... Hang on a minute, who superimposed it? No, he's in the original photo, and they are superimposed on him, like in a ghostly kind of... That's the original photo. So you see that tree didn't make it. Just gonna, right, so we're coming up to some pictures of the Scots Guard packing their kit. If any of you have got British heritage, like for sure you'll have male ancestors who fought in the Great War. I do. It's ridiculous, really. Like 1919, they were all convinced, that's that then. And then, it was one generation later that the Second World War So there's an original photo. 15th September 1914, the Scots Guards marching down Water Lane. Do you remember I told you that? That used to be the water, prior to their time. I'm talking like a long time ago. Did I tell you that in this video? I think I did. That's another aspect of them from the back marching out. Bless their little faces. Oh, they're all happy. Oh, gosh. That's them digging out a trench on the Western Front in the November. So they went in the September, and 2 months later they were in those conditions, people. Just the rats alone was enough. Oh, my battery's going to go. I'm going to have to go. Sorry, I'll come back on a different phone if I can. All right. Ciao.